Hey guys, I'm Greg. Welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Let's go see what's in the fridge today, guys. Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. This is probably going to be a treat. Guys, we've been emptying the closet and the cellaring fridge downstairs and trying to get some of these bigger beers, darker beers, heavier ABV beers out and getting them reviewed, because I've been receiving from the subscribers a lot of pale ales and IPAs and double IPAs, and not a whole lot of stouts. And I like to, since I'm only allowed 2 beers a day now, we'll start off with maybe a pale or an IPA or a double IPA and finish up with a Barleywine or a stout or something like that. And when I get to do a bourbon barrel version of stout or Barleywine, it's always a pleasure, especially if I get those bourbon notes. A lot of beers that say they're bourbon barrel aged don't have those notes. They're very subdued, and that may be intentional from them not wanting the bourbon to overpower everything else. But if I'm paying a premium price, which I am not on these, they've been sent to me. This has actually come from Rico. This is a 2013 edition of Goose Island's Bourbon County brand barley wine. We've done the 14 in the stout in the barley wine, and we've done the 14 in the 13 in the stout, and this is the 13 in the barley wine. So Rico, thanks again, my brother. I do appreciate you sending me the awesome beers that you do, sir. You are awesome. You are absolutely awesome. I do appreciate you, sir. I don't take anything for granted. I always shout out to people that send me the beers when I do the beer reviews. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having the wonderful subscribers that I do that send me these awesome world-class beers. And I expect this to be an awesome beer, because everything that I've had in the Bourbon County brand series is usually outstanding, and I expect no less from this one. Hopefully it will live up to that. We shall see in just a minute. This is a 12.1%er, and because Untappd actually has it listed as a 2013, where Beer Advocate clumps them all together. And these beers, depending on batch to batch or year to year, the ABV changes a lot of times. So when I go to Beer Advocate, they have them all clumped together and usually have the ABV wrong, because it changes from batch to batch or year to year. Whereas Untappd, a lot of times, most of the time, not always, has it listed for the year that we're looking at and we're doing. And this one seems to come out correct. It has it at 12.1% and 60 IBUs from Untappd. And over to Beer Advocate, they have it listed as 14.4%, which is wrong, because they clump them all together. And that changes. They don't differentiate between the years or the batches. So, the commercial description from Untappd on this one says, aged in third use barrels that were once home to Kentucky bourbon and then our renowned Bourbon County stout. This traditional English style barley wine possesses these subtlety of flavor that only comes from barrel that's gone through many seasons of ritual care. The intricacies of previous barrel denizens, easy for me to say, huh? Oak, charred hints of tobacco and vanilla, and that signature bourbon heat are all present in this beer. Hearty and complex, Bourbon County brand barley wine is a titan and a timeline, a bold, flavorful journey through the craft of barrel aging. I wasn't aware that they had, this is a third run barrel, that it had bourbon in it, that it had their stout in it, and then they're putting their barley wine in it. So I'm still hoping it's going to have some of those bourbon notes. being a third run barrel. We shall see. I don't know. They don't tell us how long they left it in the barrel. So we shall see. If I don't get the bourbon notes, I'm going to tell you that. So, and if I do, I'm going to tell you that too. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get this up. This is a 13, so it's in their old regular 12-ounce bottle where they use specially designed embossed bottles for their stouts and barley wines now. Nice hiss, a little bit of smoke. Into the glass we go. We're going to go down the center on this one here, guys. It is pretty dark coming out, but it's not pitch black like the stout usually is. It poured absolutely no head. I can see the beer down through the top. Just a slight little bit of khaki colored head around the outside of the glass. Looks very nice in the glass. Over into the light, I can see some red ruby tinges around the thin part down through here. So it doesn't look like a stout, but it is a dark barley wine. To the nose we go on this one. Slight hint of some bourbon. It's not overpowering like the stout, which would probably be a second run after the bourbon was in there. But I am getting some bourbon notes. So we're still getting it even though it's a third run barrel. Nice roasted malt notes. Hint of some caramel and toffee. Got a very nice sweetness to the back end like most barley wines do. Not getting any kind of burning or super big alcohol notes on the nose. Seems to be fairly smooth on the nose for a 12.1%er. Might be some dark fruit in there after it warms up, which we will do, as we always do. Smells very pleasant. Might be a hint of a little bit of molasses in there, but the caramel toffee notes and the malt and bourbon are standing out more than anything else. But the bourbon is not off the chain like it is in the stout. Well, let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Rico. Thank you, my brother. The bourbon notes are still there, though, guys. It's very pleasant. It's not overpowering. I'm not getting a big burn for a 12.1%er. It's very pleasant. Very easy to drink, like I said, no burning. But I mean, if I'd have had this beer 10 years ago, it would have probably been too boozy or too much alcohol. It all depends on where your palate is and what you're used to drinking and what you have drank. Still very pleasant. That's a very, very tasty beer, guys. The Bourbon County brand series still seems to me to live up to its name. They are very tasty beers. They are, no doubt about it. And they cellar very, very well. So if you have some older ones like this, rest assured that they are cellaring well. And if you get your hands on this series of beers, even the new ones, pick up a couple. Drink one fresh and cellar 1 or 2 or 3, 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, and see if you think it changes any and gets more complex over time. They are awesome beers, guys. I'm not a fan, even though AB InBev owns them, but they seem to let this series go. And as I've told you before on the other Bourbon County reviews, people that has actually had these beers before AB InBev bought them out say the beer was better then than it is now. I never had a chance to try anything before AB InBev got their hands on them, but they've all been very pleasant to me. So let's sip on this and let it come up to room temperature while I sip on it and see what we end up with. Alright guys, I'm back. Got this to the left here. Very nice, very tasty beer. A little bit of sediment in the bottom of the glass here from the bottom of the bottle since it's been aging for so long. Still a very tasty beer. Nice pleasant sweetness to the beer. Nice roasted malt. Might be a slight hint of some grapes in there. Dates, raisin, plums, figs. A little bit of dark fruit in there. A little bit of caramel, toffee. decent bourbon notes, not off the chain or anything like the stouts are. Being a third one barrel, it is pretty tasty for a barrel that's had beer in it before. I will say that. These beers are pretty damn tasty, guys. Probably the best in the style for a bourbon barrel barley wine. I do think what they produce there in Chicago, where these are done, are still very tasty. Now, some of their other beers that have been moved over to New York and stuff are very transitional beers. Not something a seasoned craft beer drinker would probably want or purchase, but these in the Bourbon County line and the stouts and barley wines are still world class to me. So, with that being said, final chug on this one. Damn tasty, guys. A very excellent representation of a bourbon barrel barley wine. Nice and smooth for a 12.1%, smooth as it can be, probably. But like I said, depends on where your palate is. If you jump from a Budweiser or Miller or Coors into something like this, it's probably going to blow your palate out of your mouth, and you're probably not going to like it. Not what you're used to drinking, and too heavy, too dark, too this, too that. But if you're used to drinking some of these heavier beers like this, this is a very pleasant one to pick up. And they have a pretty big distribution now that AB InBev has got their hands on it and increasing the distribution on what they produce. So, but this is a 2013. I doubt if you're going to see that on the shelf anywhere now. These beers have been bought up. So some of you lucky ones that have bought them up and got them in your cellaring closet or fridges, it sells very well. It's a very tasty beer. Guys, I'm going to give it a 10. It is a very tasty beer, very pleasant. Final beer of the evening for me. On a side note, I hit the 40 pounds off this morning. So it's slowly but surely getting there. So with that being said, I appreciate all the well wishes and comments about that. But it's a struggle, trust me. With my limited diet and limited beer intake, it is a struggle. It is definitely a struggle. Stay hungry all the time now with the limited amount of calorie intake that I am and allowed to do, trying to lose weight, because I'm not very active anymore running a gun store, not like I was when I was running the cabinet shop, lifting, toting, sweating, and doing all that, which I'm not doing anymore. So, with that being said, 10 beer for me, awesome, outstanding, world class. Over to Beer Advocate, they say 4.51 out of 5. Also world class from them, no arguments. And final check-in, we run over to Untappd. They have it at 4.55. Awesome numbers from them. Definitely an A to A plus beer. Definitely worth picking up if you can get your hands on it. They're not cheap beers to buy, but you got to realize what it takes to do a bourbon barrel version of a stout or a barley wine or anything, where it's setting in those barrels, taking up space in the brewery for however long they decide to barrel age it. So you got to pay a little bit more for those beers, guys, but they're tasty and they're well worth it to me, unless they're just astronomically priced, which some of them are. So it all depends on how deep your pockets is and how bad you want to drink it or taste it or try it. So, with that being said, if you had the 2013 edition of this beer, the Goose Island Bourbon County Barley Wine, let me know what you think. Until we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge, guys.